Welcome, I'm Grant, and this is BINBUSTER, where I buy, watch, and review budget bin movies for you. Today's movie is none other than The Icebreaker. An ice-breaking ship collides with a huge iceberg and is forced to drift along the coast of Antarctica. This movie is actually a Russian movie, so it actually comes from the Russian cinema. And it's dubbed in English. So just letting you guys know, if you guys want to check it out, it's there. But it's about the story of, like I said, an ice-breaking ship that hits an iceberg. Sounds a lot like the Titanic. And is forced to drift along the coast of Antarctica. However, this ship is built to break up ice. That's what they do. They break up ice. So, like usual, I'll give you the good, the bad, and I'll give you my thoughts and ratings on this movie when we're all said and done. So without further ado, let's go into those goods. First good, like I said, this movie is from the Russian cinema. Like literally, their opening title sequence is written in Russian with English subtitles. This movie doesn't have subtitles though. This movie is dubbed in English. Yeah, I'll get more into that in my bads because I talk about that more. I thought the dubbing in here was horrible. But I'm going to get into that in a bit. They crash into an iceberg, and it bends into the radar. When they move again, the iceberg begins to follow them, especially when they get stuck, and fuel begins running out. Supplies begin running out, and they're at the 2.5 month long route towards the end of this movie. They've been there for 2.5 months. Stuff is not working. Will they get help? That's what they want. So they want you to believe that they are getting help. But during this time when you're seeing the ship with the crew, we're getting some stories from back home on how people are coping with this. Like the one guy, the captain's, I believe his wife, is expecting their first baby. The thing is, she's in her 40s and will have a difficult pregnancy. And he's not there to be with her. So she kind of runs away from the hospital. Doesn't want to give birth, but then she decides she wants to give birth, and her husband will be happy about that. They get a new captain who's a real piece of work. He breaks the guitar when these guys are singing to pass the time because he assumes that they are bored. I don't know about you, but if I'm stuck on a ship for 2.5 months, music is the only thing that's going to keep me sane. I don't know about you guys, but music will keep me sane. The boat begins breaking from the inside because of the pressure of where it's sitting. These ships are always on the move. They're never sitting still. So when that metal starts breaking down, it starts leaking. Well, they start getting water in the hull. Just from wear and tear. And they lose. This is a good thing because it shows you that this new captain actually cares for these crewmen. And they are sitting there. You're seeing them trying to patch it up, dishing out all the water, and then the cook comes in. This is one of my funniest parts. Just bear with me. The cook comes in, and he goes, "We lost all the food, guys. Oh, what do we have? We have beans." So they're going to eat beans for the next 2.5 months. Oh, and also, one other guy said, yeah, our extra drinking water tanks have just burst, and they're now destroyed too. So they don't have drinking water either. Oh boy, this is going to get interesting, to say the least. Icebreaker is a decent film about survival, where the worst enemy is an iceberg and the freezing weather of Antarctica itself. Good performances that really made this fight against the big glaciers enjoyable. You know, it seems that Russia doesn't need American cinema because they know how to make it by themselves. Like, this is proof right here. They know how to make it themselves. Like ours, if this was made by ours, we would blown up that iceberg would be blown up, boom, in like the first 5 minutes. There would have been explosions everywhere, probably a lens flare. I don't know, maybe making the ship look like it's a Macintosh store, an Apple store. Yeah, if you know the references of the directors I just mentioned, sound off down below. Sound off down below on that if you know what references I made in regards to this. But they tell their own stories, and their stories are more slower paced than ours are. Whereas us, many people would find this boring. And most of the ratings I found are like 2 stars, 1 star, because they found it very boring. Me, I had to watch it twice. Once I watched it late, so I fell asleep during it. Honestly. And then I watched it again, and I'm like, ooh, this is actually a decent film. This year there are a few films coming out that are Russian, that are foreign films. I want you guys to watch those. Don't, just because something is foreign and filmed in Russia, when you look at the back and you see I don't know if you guys could see those, but all the Russian names on there, yeah. Don't let that scare you. It might actually be an enjoyable movie. It might actually be a hidden gem. So, pick those up. Alright, now we get into the bads. Some of the story bits and pieces here could have been handled without turning the guys' backs to the ropes. It seemed like every time they were up against something, they were always backs against the ropes, ready to bring it on. So I think they could have done a little bit more research and had a little bit more, precautionary. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Precautionary tales in regards to their film, to their adventures. Instead of, oh, this is going to happen. Oh, look, it's happened. Let's be defensive instead of offensive on this. Especially when we follow a few of the sailors' wives. That happens, and what happens back home, they could have expounded on that a little bit more instead of just bringing a few bits and pieces in there. The other downfall of this is the score. Sometimes the music in this movie is above the voice levels. So it's hard to hear the guys talking. Just bring that down just a little bit. Just bring it down. One of the nicest aspects of this film is its cast. I mean, I honestly gotta say, I don't know if any of these guys are major actors in Russia, but these guys were good. However, the dubbing was horrible. It seemed like it was the same 2 guys and 1 lady who did all the voices. The reason I say this is because there's a little kid's voice in here, and it sounds like a guy with a helium balloon like this. Like, literally, it sounds like it's a grown man sucking on helium, then talking like a kid, instead of getting an actual kid to dub it. And dubbing, I understand, is an art form, so you have to go with who's able to dub it and who is able to understand and translate everything that they're seeing and reading. I understand that, but they could be a little bit better with it, too, in my opinion. But like I said, I'm just giving you guys opinions here. I'm not a professional critic. I don't even play one on TV. But I'm just giving you my thoughts on this movie. In fact, Icebreaker, I'll give it 3 stars. On my first watch, so I fell asleep through it, I was going to give it like 2. But on my second watch, I'll give it 3 stars, which is a middle-of-the-road movie. It's a good film if you want to watch something that is inspired by true events. I mean, these Icebreaker guys, are actually out there doing stuff like this in Antarctica all the time. Because if not, icebergs would pop up everywhere and ships would be in so much danger and everything. So, if you find this at your local store, my wife found this at Walmart. She was like, "Oh, this looks interesting, babe. I want to watch this." My wife did Centigrade. This film was good too. So she's bearing 2 for 2. So I might let her pick out more. But anyways, this movie is good. I give it 3 stars. Comment down below on this movie. Like, what is your favorite? I've already asked natural disaster movies. So what's your favorite movie that are based on true events? Send that down off below. Let's start a conversation and find out about that. As well as what I said earlier in this video too. So you guys could throw that in there. And remember, I'm Graydon. This all right here is BINBUSTER. And what's behind me is soon going to be changing in August. Yeah. So look forward to that. And remember, when you find those movies, buy them, make it a movie night, and remember to dive right in.